Welcome. I'm the Parliament Raven. Pour yourself a cup of tea. My name's Jason Rodriguez, and I'm the Parliament Raven. And today's episode is called How Looking Good Fuels Confidence, Communication, and Calling. Now, before David fought Goliath, King Saul gave him his armor, and it was very ill-fitting. It didn't fit him at all. It was too big. David was a small guy. It was kind of laughable. Can you imagine if he had walked out onto that battlefield trying to sling those rocks and he could barely lift his arm because he was covered in armor that just didn't fit him? Today, too many of us are showing up to life and business in ill-fitting armor, unsure how our appearance reflects our becoming. But here's the truth. How you dress also affects how you feel, and how you feel affects how you lead. Let's start with the psychology or the communication. Both are taught in these classes. The aspect of what is now being called clothed cognition. It originally was called something else. It was so long ago that I learned about it, but Adam and Galinsky in 2012 did an experiment, and it shows that what you wear can influence the psychology and your psychological processes. In communications way back when in the late 90s, it was called the look good effect. The way if you look good, you feel good. And of course, this was proved in clothed cognition, where they dressed people up in what's called doctor's coats, those white lab coats. And those who thought they were in doctor's coats versus those who thought they were in painter's coats had completely different attention spans and focuses, and what they produced was nominally different. Those in the doctor's coats produced more and affected more than those who thought they were in painters. Psychological thought. Our clothing impacts our own perceptions and of ourselves, which influences our posture, our energy, the way we interact with people. For instance, the cardigan I'm wearing, and the glasses I'm wearing, people think more so of me as a professor or a teacher than just as your every average day Joe. And when I go out and I'm working on my writing, usually at a coffee shop, usually that's how I'm perceived or referenced as. The nickname is the professor there. So there's really a math to this, right? So presentation or appearance equals self-perception, confidence, communication, and influence. The younger kids call it drip, and that's also part of your aura. And we had a whole episode about aura, but this also plays into that, right? How you present yourself to yourself every morning is a key and is important to how we interact with the world. So how does this play biblically? I know I'm really focusing more on that coaching aspect, and I'm doing that because of my friend Joe Zaragoza, who used to just do a whole website on how guys should dress, the successful man of looking sharp with a suit, a tie, a pocket square, what that means. And don't get me wrong, I really like dressing in a vest and a collared shirt with a pocket square myself. And you'll see some future episodes where I'll go back to that look. But right now I'm going with the current look that I have. So how does this biblically play off? Let's go back around. Samuel 16:7, but the Lord said to Samuel, do not look at the appearance or the height or stature, because I have rejected that. For the Lord sees not a man, but looks towards the inward appearance and looks towards the heart. So where we humans look towards the outward, the Lord looks towards the heart. And the goal here is to reflect the inward with the outward on this journey. So imagine you're questing, I like using that analogy, you're headed towards some sort of adventure, whether it be getting a treasure from a dungeon or like Indiana Jones going into an old tomb and taking that gold head and being ready. You want to have that gear equipment. Indiana Jones had his whip and his gun. He had his hat and his jacket and some boots to run. If you're going into that dungeon, you're going to need a sword, some light armor to be able to be flexible and movable, so that when situations occur, that you're there. And as you walk through and you're moving through the lands and through life, people can recognize that inward part, that inward adventurer that you are, right? The person you are inside, the adventurer you are inside. Not to say at home, don't dress in sweats, don't dress in linens, whatever you like hanging out in at home is awesome. But when you're out in the world, that gear that you're putting on really is representing you, right? So William and Todorov, I got to pronounce that right, in 2006 says humans form first impressions in less than 6 seconds, and over 70% of communication is nonverbal. Appearance, posture, grooming, facial expressions all play a role, right? That whole look that you give. For my students, that look when you first come in the first day of class, whether you are ready to go in uniform or whether you are wearing a lackadaisical printed t-shirt and some jeans, is definitely going to go towards how you are first perceived. Whether you're slumping in a chair like this, oh yeah, or you're focused, your shoulders are cocked back and you're leaning forward. You have to think of how you present yourself, and your look is all about not just what you're wearing, but literally your movement. So some things you can take away. Your look tells a story. So before you even open your mouth, what's that story going to be? Question, that's the question, right? What's the story you're trying to tell? In professional and spiritual environments, intentional presentation opens up rational and vocational doors. So one of the things I talk about when coaching students or young founders or entrepreneurs is, are you overdressed? Are you dressed just enough? How are you want you present yourself to the world? My wife recently sent me a video on this old Italian idea, controlled chaos, where you dress very nice, but one thing is offset, whether it be the full suit, but one thing is unbuttoned, or the look but the pocket square is just offset. There's very much a sense of style that represents you, but also draws people to you, which is very important. So how does this work in the real world? I have some real world examples. I went out and I looked it up just for you. Example one, Andy Jassy, the CEO of Amazon, known for his understanding, clean, professional appearance that reflects Amazon's ethos, right? Efficiency, modern, precision. And that look that Andy presents on stage and in front of the camera is definitely part of what Andy wears. Whitney Wolfhard, CEO of Bumble, fuses that kind of feminine executive presence, right? She's both a lady and she's an executive. Her wardrobe empowers her brand and her mission. What we can reflect on, though, is that the dress can reflect innovation, empowerment, personal narrative that we want to give. And dressing good psychologically helps you, and I'm going to keep driving this home, feel better. I know for me, I'll give it another example. If I'm feeling depressed and I'm bearded, scruffy, my hair is all messed up, I will go and I will literally change what I go and act like I'm going to go out into the world, and I'll change what I'm wearing. I'll wear something nice. I'll shave. I'll do my hair, even if I'm not going anywhere, because it changes. If I'm dealing with depression, which runs in my family, sometimes I get it and I have nothing to be depressed about. It helps me psychologically jumpstart into a positive mindset, right? So some more well-dressed players. I'm just going to go through some. I'm gonna go through this list. Sundana Brown Duckett, CEO of TIAA, known for her vibrant yet polished style. Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, consistent minimalist. You can definitely see that in what he wears. Indra Nooyi, former CEO of PepsiCo, very bold with colors but yet elegant. Sheryl Sandberg, former CEO of Meta, balanced, polished presence with openness and clarity with a feminine flair. Robert Hedgevick of Shark Tank is always business formal, supports confident. He feels like a businessman of old, yet gives you that fatherly appearance. Jordan B. Peterson gives you that professor look that's old but still relevant. His suits are definitely have those strange cuts of color and stuff to draw the eye and to get you into the story. Okay, so I said again, we're trying to align our outer and inner presence and identities also with what we wear. So some more things you can ask yourself from a coaching perspective. Let me ask you, does how I show up match where I'm going, right? Is when I enter the room and how I show up in that room, is that matching where I'm going? Whether it be hanging out or going to a business meeting or even meeting up with alumni. Don't confuse humility with sloppiness. Dress well isn't arrogance, it's just stewardship, right? These are biblical principles. Don't think that dressing sloppily shows humility. That's a false sense of humility you're building up there. So Colossians 3:12. Let's look at a Bible verse. Let's draw some of the wisdom of the word in. Put then on as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience. And what are you bringing out? How do I look patient if I look like a mess? The phrase put on in the scripture is both spiritual and symbolic on our outer and of our inner persons and presence to show that transformation within. I'm sure Paul did not go from making tents covered in all those chemicals and sometimes even urine, because tent makers had to treat leather with that, into the synagogue or into the houses of Romans, looking and smelling like a tanner and a tent maker. Definitely cleaned up his look before going in, knowing full well that presentation is everything. He was in the Sanhedrin. At times he had to look the best of the best. So some more things real quick as we head towards the closing, some style checklists here, right? Dress for who you're becoming, not just who you are, right? I once listened to a business CEO says they saved and spent that savings on a suit so that suit could present them, because that's where they wanted to go. They didn't want to look like a college student or a everyday person. They wanted to have that business acumen as they presented themselves over and over. And yes, they only had one suit, but until they got to the point where they could buy multiple. Invest in a fit, cleanliness, and consistency, not just price, right? It doesn't have to be Armani. It doesn't have to be something that's highly expensive, right? It just has to make you look good and feel the direction you're going. And don't let a brand name be the thing that pushes you there. Recently, as of 2 years ago, when I moved into a new place of teaching, I started wearing less things with other people's labels on it. I didn't want to represent Nike or not just Air Jordans, but I didn't want to represent Adidas and all those other brands out there. I'm not getting paid for that. That's not who I want to be or where I want to go, right? So I removed that and got things that have a better cut and didn't have all those labels on it. Audit your wardrobe. Ooh, man, this is sometimes can be an argument even in a relationship, right? Auditing your wardrobe. If it doesn't fit you or your calling, it might be time to let it go, unless it's going to be used for PJs and not leave the house, right? That goes for shoes, that goes for purses, that goes for backpacks, that goes for ties, that goes for suits. If it's no longer part of the journey you're going, it's nostalgic memorabilia you don't need. And that's hard. Last but not least, understand context. You can still be you while adapting to the moment with grace. Right? You never wore a suit or don't like a suit. I know a lot of young people and they really hate dressing up. They don't feel like there's a reason for it, but man, they act differently. They stand taller once they get that suit on or that tux on for the event that they had to get it for. And there's just this radical change in just how they present themselves, whether they know it or not. And some will know it. Those who are more self-aware than others will notice that with that changing of clothes and variety, that they just stand a bit taller, right? Don't wait to feel confident to dress like you matter. Dress like you matter, and the confidence will catch up to you. That's really what I'm trying to say there. So here's what I want you to do. Journal. Maybe ask yourself, what does the next level version of me look like? And what would they wear today? Start like planning. Put some vision into that, the purpose of you looking good and feeling good. Try a wardrobe reset this week. Keep the idea of elevating yourself and release what's holding you back. Share this episode with somebody who you think might need to hear that. They need to look good and feel good. And if you have something they can wear and you think they'll look good in it, be willing to give it up. That's what we Christians do. And if you're not Christian, be a good friend and do it anyways. That's me harassing you. All right. So we know that through our journey, how we present ourselves, even to the person in the mirror, affects us. So take those challenges, keep going and growing. Pour yourself another cup of tea, and I'll talk to you soon. Like, subscribe, leave a good comment. Thanks for visiting the Parliament. If you want to know about Gravitas coaching, please visit gravitas.co. It's also where we host the Parliament. Join the conversation on Facebook at the Parliament Raven Podcast. Last but not least, the intro and outro music credits. Intro music by Russ Budgeon and outro music by Sarnav Aravistov.